Good day, grade 8s. Today we are going to look at some exam type questions on series and parallel circuits. In question 1, it says study the following two electric circuits and answer the questions that follow. So in circuit A, we have a cell, a bulb, a closed switch. In circuit B, we have a cell, a bulb, and an open switch. And the first question is explain why the bulb in circuit B does not glow. And I think it's very obvious the bulb will not glow because the switch C is open. So the switch is open and the circuit is not complete, and therefore the current will not flow. And that is where you will get your 2 marks from. Then in 1.2 it asks which letter, and now you must choose between A, B, C or D, shows an electrical component that. So you can see there are electrical components marked. A is the conducting wire, B is the bulb, C is the switch, and D is the cell. Now let's see what is 1.2.1. The electrical component that is made of metal and carries electricity over a distance. That is your conductor, and the metal conductor is indicated by the letter A. The component that completes or interrupts the circuit. Completes means to close and interrupt means to open. So what opens and closes the circuit? That of course is the switch, indicated by symbol C. What is the component that is a source of energy? And the source of energy in the circuit of course is the cell, in this case indicated by the letter D. And the component that can convert electrical energy to heat and light energy, and that would be the bulb. The bulb B converts electrical energy into heat and light energy, and for this you will get 1 mark each, so that will give you a total of 4 marks. In question 1.3, you have to make a drawing of a circuit diagram. Draw a closed circuit with 2 cells in series, 1 resistor in series, and 2 bulbs connected in parallel. I already made the drawing to save time. You do it with your pencil and your ruler. So you have 2 cells in series, and that is 1 mark. There's your 1 cell, your second cell, 2 cells in series. 1 resistor in series, that is your resistor in series. 2 bulbs connected in parallel. There they are, because you can see the current is going to split here. So these are your 2 bulbs in parallel, and it should be a closed circuit. So there mustn't be any gaps, or you must indicate a closed switch. So that will give you the 4 marks for question 1, then a total of 10 marks. Question 2, study the circuit diagrams below, and do study your circuit diagrams before you look at the question. So you can see circuit A has 2 cells and 1 bulb. Circuit B, 2 cells and 2 bulbs in series. Circuit C, also 2 cells but now 3 bulbs in series. The first question, explain why these circuits are series circuits. You get either series or parallel circuits, and why are these series circuits? If you follow the flow of the current, you can see that in all the circuits there is only 1 pathway for the current to flow through. For 1 mark, there is only 1 pathway for the current to flow through, and that is your 1 mark. Question 2.2, in which circuit will the bulbs glow the dimmest? They won't be bright, they will be very dim. So if there's 1 bulb in series, the bulb will be bright. If there are 2 bulbs, they will be dimmer. And where there are 3 bulbs, they will be the dimmest. So the answer is circuit C. In circuit C, where you have 3 bulbs in series, the bulbs will be the dimmest. And now, very important, explain your answer in question 2.2. So you know by now that in circuit C, you can see there are the most bulbs. 3 bulbs connected in series. It has the most bulbs connected in series. Now, what do we know about that? That means the overall resistance will be the biggest, the largest, or the highest. So it will have a very big resistance in circuit C, the biggest of all 3 circuits. And that means that the overall current will be the smallest, and that is why the bulbs will glow the dimmest. So those are your 3 marks then for question 2.3. In question 3, we have another circuit. Study the following circuit diagram and answer the question. So you've got one cell, you've got a bulb A and a switch S2, you've got a bulb B and a switch S3, you've got a bulb C and a switch S4, and then here in the main circuit, there's a switch S1. Now let's see the first question, 3.1. Give a reason why this is a parallel circuit. It's not series, it's parallel. If you follow the flow of the current, you will see that the current can split there, the current can split in the second branch, and the current can split in a third branch. So that means that there are two or more pathways for the current to flow through, meaning it is a parallel circuit. So you explain that there are two or more pathways that the current can flow through. Question 3.2 asks which switches must be closed to make only bulb B light up. We only want bulb B to light up. So if you follow the current from the cell through bulb B, it's clear that S3 should be closed as well as S1. Then the current can flow through bulb B without any interruption. So the answer is then S1 and S3, 1 mark each for the 2 marks. In question 3.3, it asks which bulbs will light up if only switch S2 and switch S3 were closed. So if we close S2 and S3, which bulbs will glow up? Now let's follow the flow of the current. The current will flow through bulb A, but there's a gap. The current will flow through bulb B, but before it can go back to the cell, there is a gap in the circuit. And then through bulb C, there's a gap, and here is a gap. So you can also make the current flow the other way around by drawing your cell the other way around so that the current flows in this direction. So you can clearly see if those two switches are closed, the current cannot pass through S1. S1 is the switch in the main circuit. So if this one is not closed, the current cannot flow anywhere. And that means that no bulbs will glow. So that is 1 mark, no bulbs will glow. And if the reason was asked, the reason is that the switch in the main circuit is still open. But in this case, it only counts 1 mark. We are still busy with the same circuit diagram in question 3.4. Switches S1 and S2 are now closed. So S1 and S2 are closed, and you can see that bulb A lights up. If you follow the flow of the current, then it's very clear that bulb A will now start glowing. Now the question is, explain why the total resistance in the circuit decreases when switches S3 and S4 are also closed. At the moment, only S2 is closed, so that means that the current can only flow through bulb A, meaning there's 1 bulb in series. But if you close S3, then you can see that the current can now flow through bulb A and bulb B, so now there's 2 bulbs in parallel. If I complete the circuit and I close S4, then the current can flow through a 3rd branch, and now we have 3 bulbs in parallel. So that means that we have more bulbs in parallel, so the total resistance decreases. Now let's see how the mark allocation will work. When switches S3 and S4 are closed, the number of bulbs connected in parallel gets more or increases. That's 1 mark. That's your observation. You close the switches and then you have more bulbs in parallel. And we know that if there are more bulbs in parallel, the overall resistance decreases. And that is where your 2nd mark will be allocated. 3.4.2 is still on the circuit. What will happen to the brightness of bulb A if switches S3 and S4 are also closed? So if they are open, bulb A will glow with a certain brightness. If I add bulb B by closing S3, what will happen to the brightness? And if I add bulb C by closing the switch, so when I add more bulbs in parallel, what will happen to the brightness of bulb A? we know that the bulb will remain, the brightness will remain the same. Because if we add bulbs in parallel, the brightness of the first bulb does not go brighter or dimmer, but it remains the same. The last question for the day is give 2 reasons why the lights in our homes are connected in parallel. And I hope you've seen now in this diagram above. In a parallel circuit, you can switch the bulbs on and off separately. If one bulb fuses, the others can still glow. And if you add bulbs in parallel, the brightness remains the same. So that would be our answer in 3.5. Let's see where the marks are coming from. 2 reasons. The first reason, the lights can be switched on and off separately from one another. Or you can say, if one bulb fuses, the other bulbs will continue to glow. So either one of those two for 1 mark, that is one reason. And if more bulbs are connected in parallel, the brightness of the bulbs remains the same. So we can switch on the bathroom light, the kitchen light, and the bedroom light, and all the lights will keep on glowing with the same brightness without getting dimmer. So those are the 2 reasons why we have bulbs in parallel in our homes.